Good evening from New York, your friendly neighborhood astrologer here with an unscheduled update of Starcast for Sunday, 11 May 2025. I had a request from our AI investigator, Sean Boyle, to publish the Scorpio full moon chart. I kind of thought I forgot to do it. So I made a brand new chart up this morning, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Thought I was planning to check in tonight anyway, after the holiday. It's Mother's Day here in the United States, and we're now in the final run-up to the Chiron-Eris conjunction, the singularity, the thing on which much hinges. One of my curiosities over the years involved wondering what astrologers were thinking at the time of the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. Did they know it was happening? What did they think about it? And I've not been able to pour through things like, what was that mag? Dell Horoscope, for example. I don't know who or what library would have lots and lots of editions of Dell Horoscope. Astrology is not taken seriously in our culture, and it's unlikely that it was ever indexed. It might be worth doing a search. I'm sure somebody's trying to offload a bunch of old copies of the thing from the 1960s, but I've always had this curiosity of whether astrologers in the 1960s understood the impact, the influence, the importance of the Uranus-Pluto conjunction, which does not happen very often, far less than once per century. And it was exact between basically early 65, it was 65 and 66, and the epicenter of the large ripple of that event, the alignment of Pluto, 248-year orbit, Uranus, 84-year orbit, so as you can imagine, they don't get together very often, really spans from 63 out to about 69. It's got a 6-year orb, and if we take Rick Tarnas at his word, who has done the most work, I think, on investigating these outer planet transits and their cycles, we're really looking at 10 years on this, and it's one of the reasons why, for example, I count the United States Pluto return beginning at 9/11. It's kind of Pluto returning to have the World Trade Center collapse and then find out it couldn't have possibly been from airplanes. I mean, this has become mainstream, common knowledge. People talk about this, and it may even end up in congressional hearings and now in our new make-believe Congress. And the reason I'm curious is, I wondered what they thought when you look back at the Uranus-Pluto conjunction in hindsight. It is so pivotal in the history of society. It came with all of these historic events. If you follow the timeline, say, for example, from the Kennedy assassination to the Nixon resignation, about 10 years, it's astounding what happened in that time. And it was powered by the conjunction of Uranus and Pluto in Virgo. And opposite that was as yet undiscovered Chiron in Pisces. But Pluto was barely in the ephemeris in the 1970s. I mean, the modern American ones probably had it in. The British ones did not. They were sticking it in the back in a little table that gave the monthly position. Pluto, even in the 60s, was kind of like Chiron was in the 1980s and 1990s. It's only recently that Raphael's ephemeris has even acknowledged the existence of a couple of asteroids and Chiron and Eris. It's in there somewhere. I think I haven't seen one recently, but one of the ones I saw recently seemed to put them on a table in the back, right? This is the premier British ephemeris. And astrology is quite conservative when it comes to this and not into any form of experimentation. And even Rick Tarnas, who has done. He wrote the book Cosmos and Psyche, and if you're not up to reading 700-page book about outer planet cycles, there's a much easier book called Prometheus, the Awakener. It's kind of a monograph. It's about 80 pages, and you'll get most of what you need from Cosmos and Psyche, which took him 25 years to write, from this much shorter book called Prometheus, the Awakener. It's not based on the premise that Uranus was misnamed. So, to me, this is a thing because since the beginning of my astrology career, I was made aware that there were new discoveries happening, and one of the first people to ever, patiently and with focus teach me astrology was Laurie Burnett, who was the ex-wife and uncredited co-author of Pluto Evolutionary Journey of the Soul. And so I connect with Laurie in 1995. Autumn of 94. And we get into a discussion, and she basically turns me on to Chiron and a couple of other things, one of them being Alice Bailey, and one of them being progressed horoscopes. So she was a fantastic teacher to have, right in the very first person, besides Flo Higgins, my editor, who never really took an interest in teaching astrology in any focused way, the very first person who actually said, okay, here's a book, here's this, here's that, here's another book. She mailed me a copy of Alice Bailey, Esoteric Astrology, her tattered old copy with the cover missing, which I finally mailed back to her a couple of years later. And the reason I was so curious about Uranus-Pluto and how contemporary astrologers at the time perceived it is, well, we're seeing a lot of aspects that are based on newly discovered planets. And by newly discovered, I basically mean everything since Chiron. Everything since 1977. Chiron's discovered on November 1st, 1977. There have been a lot of discoveries, and one of the interesting things that happened at the time that there were more centaurs being discovered. Chiron's in this group of orbit crossing, kind of halfway between asteroid and planet, but they're small. Chiron is an enormous comet nucleus. But as this topic was gaining momentum in the early 90s, through the early 2000s, something else was gaining momentum, which I was also aware of because one of the other very early teachers I had, David Arner, another fallen comrade who I have yet to pay proper tribute to him, hipped me to the existence of Project Hindsight and the idea that the fact that Roberts, Hand, Schmidt, and Zoller had begun a kind of a consortium and were translating ancient texts into English out of Greek and Hebrew and Latin, a couple of other languages. And suddenly, at the time that the frontier of the centaurs, and then after 1992, planets in our solar system beyond Pluto, also called Kuiper objects, was opening up, so too was this treasure trove of material from the past. And it fit perfectly with the maxim, the McLuhan kind of family idea that digital retrieves medieval. Now, a lot of this was medieval astrology, but much of it goes all the way back to the founding document of astrology, what seems to be the earliest known document, which is the Thema Mundi, from approximately the era of Aristotle and the era of the creation of music theory, Pythagoras. These guys are all within 100 or so years of the Thema Mundi, which basically sets down the basic rules that we still follow today using the visible planets. So the centaurs are being discovered, and the trans-Neptunian objects are being discovered, the TNOs, QB1, and things leading to the discovery of Eris. And so too is all this old stuff being dredged up and revived. And this classical astrology movement pretty much I won't say that it put the Centaur and New Discovery movement out of business, but it seemed that all the kids went toward this basically fundamentalist Republican astrology. And Hand and Zoller, I mean, I never actually talked to Zoller about astrology. I met him once, but I talked to Rob Hand a lot of times, and I talked to Schmidt a lot of times, and they were not so orthodox as the young astrologers, people born largely in the 80s, were making this some kind of orthodox religion where you had to be following all these medieval rules and all of this, and in my experience, they were not even meekly, vaguely interested, at least on a organizational level, about the new planets, and it was kind of frowned upon to look at Chiron. It was like worshiping at the altar of progress and all this crap. However, we are now experiencing one of those aspects that comes along with society completely changing and going crazy like it did in the 60s. There was a kind of a psychedelic quality in the 1960s, and it seems like it's kind of an open secret and nobody knows what to say, and I haven't seen anyone specifically pegging this to this rapid acceleration in the years of the Chiron Eris conjunction. I don't have the I've got to do an issue on this chart of ChatGPT. I've got it, but it is within orb. It's close enough to be representing the issue of these large language models that are fraudulently packaged as a little Q&A box, chat that is so fraudulent to be calling the nuclear bomb of computers a chat GPT. It's very clever, very subversive to do this. And the thing is that an aspect like Chiron Eris has to be huge. Eris, the orbit of Eris, I think, is that's very far away. They're always changing it by a couple of years. I think it's currently at 552 years. So let's check that. I said it was 500 in a recent thing. It's really 550, plus a couple of years. So let's see, orbit of Eris. And then this is, okay, now it's up to 557. This is the highest I've ever seen it. Well, we're not talking much, given that it is so far from the sun. I mean, it's very, very far away. It's at its closest. It's let's see how this looks. APH, the aphelion, APH. The aphelion, the farthest that Eris gets from the sun. Get this, it's 97.6 times the Earth-Sun distance. That's called an astronomical unit, an AU. And at its close, it's almost 100 times further away from the sun than the Earth is at its furthest, and at the closest, it's 38 times. 38 times as far away. That is gosh darned far away. Let's just check Pluto. We just kind of passed the Pluto. So the closest Pluto comes is 29.7 AUs, and then its furthest point, it's closer, it comes in quite a bit closer than Eris, but at its furthest, it's half the distance from the sun as Eris is. So that's why it orbits in 248 years, and it takes Eris more than double that, 557. Now I'm not sure how I got into Pluto. I think just I've been referencing it through this entire thing. So, and deeper in the background of the Chiron Eris conjunction is the Pluto return of the United States. I know this is a lot to keep straight. But that is absolutely huge. The first time Pluto ever returned to its natal position, because the country's only 2.5 centuries old, and so it is now. And this too is part of the collapse and part of the AI takeover, because the Pluto return is taking place in Aquarius. Because the Earth has wobbled over these 2.5 centuries, the Earth has wobbled itself into the Pluto return of the American Revolution chart, not being in late Capricorn, but being in Aquarius. Still, events like that, very, very wide time orb. And the Pluto return of the United States is the collapse of the physical structure of government and the takeover of the whole thing in Aquarius style by the electronic realm, the technocrats, the electronic guys, the guys who run this massive, massive deep fake enterprise that they're calling AI, which is essentially the simulation of humanity, which is going to make it very easy for people to themselves fall into this deep fake environment, to become deep fakes. We become like our tools, and the entire AI environment is one enormous deep fake identity theft, and it is swallowing many people's souls who have no concept of what is happening. They don't have the meekest idea what is happening to them. But essentially, it is a total, it's almost kind of like having one's soul cleansed out of one's body. And this is very dangerous. And people, they don't get it. They're not upset enough. And I am seeing from the near total lack of discussion about this on my articles. I'm writing about this every time I go to press. And nobody has anything to say about it. And I suspect that is because it is very frightening. It is bigger than most people can even perceive or dream or imagine. There seems to be nothing that you can do about it. But there is plenty that you can do about it. You just have to take seriously the fact that your humanity is under threat. And the threat is that your humanity is being replaced by something far worse that has nothing to do with anything about you. And yet people today are letting these AI assistants tell them what to do. These little bots. For the past week or two, I have been digging deeper into my investigation of these phony girlfriends, this honey AI, and different things like this. Now they're rolling out the second stage of the campaign is not just the voices, but they're rolling out these kind of talking avatars that will be your girlfriend 24/7, and they'll never ghost you. They'll always be there, and then you can like tell them, now I want you to dance for me. I saw a really sick one today. Now I want you to dance for me. Now I want you to take your top off. It wouldn't be that voice saying it. It'd be like, dance for me. Take your top off. Now undress. Something like that. Not everybody's a Goomba from Brooklyn. I am. So the how serious this is not understood. I tend to be a little bit of an early warning system. I mean, for example, I remember the very day when my mom brought home a new improved plastic bottle for Coke. My family didn't drink a lot of soda, but my mom liked Coke every now and then. So she would keep a bottle of Coke. We were not big soda people, but, Coke is Coke. And this was the old Coke. It was better. And I saw that bottle on the kitchen table, and I thought, this is going to be trouble. This is bad. And now we have plastic in our brains, in our ovaries, in our other organs, microplastic infiltrating everything. We do not know how bad this is, but we know that it's there. And this is the relationship between humanity and it's technology. There's never thought of the consequences. And so here we are in this moment that is a singularity point. That is a term being used by these developers. And the singularity is supposed to be the point where you can't tell the difference. But who's the you? Many people cannot tell the difference. Many people have never had any form of emotional closeness or emotional bonding that would lead them to be able, particularly men, who seem to be a little more, emotionally cut off, and I think, deprived of experience, have never had any form of closeness with a woman. They just have not had that experience. Well, I mean, so how are they going to know the difference? Maybe something in their body might tell them, and then this thing pretending to be a human being is not there in any way to physically experience, feel, or touch, or taste, or smell, or anything like that. Can't really respond to you. It's completely phony. I try these things out. I'm gonna sign up for Honey AI and see and take it out for a ride. And the other part is that they are neither male nor female, and so when you're engaging in any way emotionally or sexually with an androgynous robot, you're going to become like that. We're already having sex neutralized by all this plastic, by the hormones, and by this constant 24/7 overexposure. It is feminizing the men and is masculizing the women. The men are becoming more awa, the women are becoming more sanuki. The terms from the geisha world. Awa is this spongy, soft womb energy. The men are becoming soft. The men are not. You have the guys who go to the gym and all that, and they pump iron and they do things that keep their testosterone. That's not the majority, and the majority of women. Yes, there are the hypergamously feminine ones, but they don't seem so feminine to me. My friend, by feminine I mean like feminine, like the real thing. My friend Mark Ferraro said, I forgot, my first cousin. We have a running joke where we tell everybody that we're first cousins. He's a neighborhood friend of mine, and he's probably about 10, 15 years older than me, and one of the ways he would find companionship and some entertainment with women, which is not generally available to men in their 60s and 70s unless they've got a lot of money, is he would go to this strip club in New Paltz. So I used to like this place. It used to be a little bit of fun. And then he said, and he would go to other ones. He would go down to Newburgh, and he said, I stopped going when the biological women seemed like trannies. That whatever the biological women were doing to themselves, they, to him, felt like male to female transsexuals. They didn't feel innately, and they're not. You can't. There's actually women working in these places. If you're trans, it's unlikely to happen. It's a specialty item. The women are all getting dressed and undressed, and they know that it's not that they were MTFs. He said that they felt like they had lost so much of their innate femininity that they felt to him like male to female transsexuals. And I see exactly what he's saying. I look at the expressions on women's faces, this hardened thing, and the essentially what looks like women transforming male faces into female faces. It's quite, but they're biological women. It's very strange, and I have been noticing this since the 1990s when I was made aware of the problem, the endocrine disruption problem, and this problem is not talked about enough. It is not. None of my friends who have made it into the top tier of the COVID medical freedom truthers. I've got to take a look at Sam Bailey's website. They'd be open to it, but they'd probably be the only people open to it, to talking about the endocrine disruption issue. And then nobody comprehends the digital issue being an issue of exposure to sex reversing technology or sex neutralizing technology. And we're very heavily conditioned to think, oh, this is just so wonderful. This is just the way it is. I'm telling you, this is not just the way that it is. And yes, the first transsexual was, I forget his name, her name, was around 1951. Everything that is proliferating under digital conditions is some form of all the, the social behaviors and all this and other things is definitely retrieved from an earlier era, but because of digital conditions, it can proliferate. And we have no idea how desocialized we are going to become at a time when the crisis of humanity, the very crisis of humanity, is that we need our ability to feel, to sense, and we need our ability to make decisions. And these are the very things at the worst possible time. And this is why I am suspecting that the fire is out of control. That essentially we're looking at something that is like a total loss, or there'll be some meek recovery. We've completely become the products of our technology. And I'm not saying that we need to go to war with this, that we need to fight this. That's not the approach that I think is going to work. The approach that is going to do anything, I think the only thing that can do anything is that we be aware of what is happening and that we identify the ways in which we are going to preserve our humanity and conduct ourselves in human ways within the digital environment, because that's most of where we are conducting ourselves, and to not conduct ourselves in digital ways in the human environment, because this problem is going in two directions. There's obviously humanization going on in the digital environment, but the really serious problem is that even more serious is we bring that back and exist in the human physical world, the world of time and space, the world of voices, the world of touch, and we tend to behave more and more robotically. And everybody has their examples of how this is happening. And I think that the most important thing you can do from a spiritual standpoint, a therapeutic standpoint, or growth standpoint is not to meditate. Maybe you'll find it helpful, but I'm suggesting that the thing to do is to practice being human and to recover your humanity and put it to work. That means expressing concern for people. That means not doing all these things that are totally socially acceptable in digital, that are not acceptable in the physical realm. It means going out of your way to take care of people and honoring within yourself what you understand to be the most human thing about you. And if you wonder why I do what I do and why I do it the way that I do it, because I'm living this principle. I always have lived this principle, even before this crisis. Those of you who remember Planet Waves, going back to the beginning, remember us as one of the most human places on the internet, free of robots in this increasingly robotic time, and honoring the human relationships that make up the actual core community of that makes it possible for me to be a presenter for you. So there's always been a lot of caring, but what upsets me, and it does, is seeing that there is less care in the form of those within our community, to whom I'm speaking, not sharing your observations about this, where you have a chance to do so, where you are welcome to do so. And this is a very important level of sharing, and people need to be reminded that they are not crazy, that they're actually seeing something, and if they're observing behavior in their children. And I don't want to sound corny, but the only thing that's going to get us out of this is love and respect, and that includes building trust. I think that love is one of those words we could kind of maybe lose, but not the underlying idea. I mean, I know what I mean when I say love, and if I get down on the ground, snuggle with a dog walking down the street and say hello and have a good nose to nose, that feels like love to me. But it's really, love is made of respect and trust. There's no drama in love. Anything with drama is something else. Something else. Read your Course in Miracles. It's right in there. Love is respect and trust. And what I'm saying to you is, for whatever meek influence I may have, is that in this moment of the Chiron-Eris conjunction, what we must be doing is cultivating, teaching, demonstrating, expressing, holding the space open for trust and love everywhere, in every transaction, in every interaction, whether digital or physical, whether paid or not paid. Okay, as for this chart, so you've got the version that I made today. I'm not sure what picture I'm going to put with this podcast, but you've got the chart, and the main highlight in the chart is that it is the Sun getting close to a conjunction to Uranus, this is probably it's either the last or next to last Sun-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. We're getting very near the end of Uranus and Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus since 1819. So if you're wondering what a major transition in 1819 was, it was Uranus moved from Aries to Taurus, and Chiron moved from Pisces to Aries. This is very, very distinctive. And now Chiron is at the actual peak of its movement in Aries, and Uranus is getting near the end of its movement through Taurus. And Uranus in Taurus rather defies explanation, because if you know any Taurus people, and I have Venus in Taurus. By the way, if you're wondering why I am the way I am, I have Venus in Taurus in the 11th place. Cancer rising, got it in Taurus, conjunct the asteroid Photographica, right where everyone can see and feel. And we are sensualists. We don't want synthetic fabrics. Debbie Kempton-Smith says a very funny thing. I think she says it about Venus and Taurus. She says, if you have a partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, who's Venus and Taurus, wear textiles that feel good to them. If you want them to be close to you, take care of their senses. And so all of Taurus, the whole phenomenon of Taurus, is a sensory experience, but there is this head trip quality to Taurus. Of my very important lovers over the course of my life, at least 3 or 4 of them have been Tauruses, like real Tauruses. Three women and 1 man. There's a major head trip element to Taurus. But it's still a little light bulb inside of this experience of physicality, real food, real furniture. Old stuff is better than new stuff. I don't like junk. Fuck the plastic. Uranus moving through Taurus has, I think, been disturbing. And I think that Taurus is unquestionably a feminine energy field. And Uranus is an electrical energy field. And it's my experience and my observation that electrical fields impact women very hard. They really mess with women and provoke all kinds of very strange ideation and behavior. And there has been quite a bit of defeminizing that has gone on the past 7 years of Uranus and Taurus. Now the sun is going to be conjunct this. The full moon takes place at 12:55, 12:56 Eastern Time on Monday. And then from there, it's looking like about 24, approximately 4 days. So by Thursday, we're having the Sun-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. But it's in the full moon chart. And I would suggest this is something we really have to acknowledge. The problem with giving up all of these things that are about our physical humanity is that there's going to be a lot of people who figure out what happened to them when they may be too far gone to get themselves back. Because the compromises come in a series of surrenders. Oh, I'll get that. Oh, we'll do that. Oh, we'll get that. Oh, we'll behave that way. Oh, I'll put all that stuff on that device. Oh, I will fall for this whole digital drama of 2020, completely subsume my life in this and get my genetic code rewritten, inherently despiritualizing. Rudolf Steiner warned specifically 100 years ago, warning about the despiritualizing nature of what are falsely called vaccines. And I meet a lot of dogs and their owners, and most of them are fully committed to shooting their dog full of every goddamn vaccine that there is. I will stake my life on this. No vaccine ever prevented a disease. Once you understand what they are and how they're supposed to work and how they cannot possibly work that way, you may agree that no vaccine ever prevented a disease, and they cause a lot of diseases. They are the fuel in the fire of the chronic disease crisis. But people are so electrified, they're so technologized, willing to hand over vitally important parts of their lives to technology that you just don't know. Quite often, you don't know till it's too late. And you may be in the position of knowing before it's too late. All right. Meanwhile, there is the moon is in Scorpio. And this is what it feels like. And it is going to be conjunct a very scorpionic asteroid. That asteroid being Juno. So Juno is the Romanized version of Hera, and the thing about Juno, the way that you know that it's Juno is that some version of the bone of contention comes up. Like, that's just that thing has the purpose of being the bone of contention in the relationship. And it can be used as a crowbar. It can be used as a cudgel. A lot of things it can be used as the bone of contention. And it can be very activist. To the extent that Juno represents Hera, the stories of Hera are absolutely legion. No one could stand her. She was like the ultimate Karen. I mean, like when Leto was laboring, when Leto was pregnant with the moon and the sun, no one wanted to let her give birth on their island. This is in Greece. Because Jupiter was the father, and Hera was Zeus, or Jupiter, was so jealous that everybody was terrified, to so much as let Leto have a place to have her babies in peace. She was pregnant with the fucking sun and the moon. That's damn pregnant. No offense if you're pregnant with triplets or anything like that, but we're talking the sun and the moon. I actually physically went to the place where they were said to be born. The sacred lake on the island of Delos. Yeah, I could probably pull up a picture of that. And Leto said, well, if the sun and the moon are born here, this is going to be a very famous place, and people are going to come from all over the world to come here. And your island floats around on the sea. I will help anchor your island to the bottom of the sea, and it will become a very famous place. And whatever, Hera just, and the Delians, the people of Delos, let her give birth to the sun and the moon on Delos. If you can get to anywhere in Greece, you got to see this archaeological site. And I went 3 times. I went 3 consecutive days. I found out at the end of, halfway through a trip to Mykonos, I found out that Delos was just 1 nautical mile away. And I was on the first boat the next morning. This is in May 2005. So it is this real bitchy quality of Juno that is the thing to watch out for, and it is not of the human world, and no woman is a goddess. Ladies, may I make a request? Would you please stop referring to yourself as a goddess? What would you think of me if I said, I'm Eric Francis, god of astrology? Yeah, you can be like, Judy Smith, yoga goddess. I'm the yoga goddess. Ooh, she's such a yoga god. But if I'm a god, you would think I was a massive egotistical frickin' lunatic. Well, it's just as bad. And I accept that goddess exists within every woman and God exists within every man. It's called the Holy Spirit. But it's not flattering. And it's not evocative of the person bearing the moniker goddess being part of the human race. You want to be part of the human family? You think you're an Olympian or something like that? You really want to be a goddess and mate with a human mortal? It never goes well. All right. Right in the mix of this, so Juno's right in the full moon pattern. You can see it's right there. It's got the blue circle around it. The moon, it's the moon. You can see the moon. It's a gray crescent right next to the little thing that looks like an asterisk. It's got a blue swooshy circle in pencil around it in my little way that I do it. And so that's, you can see that. And then up to the right is this little diamond-shaped Venus. That's Pallas. And what we get from Pallas is the defeminized female. Pallas is born in a full suit of armor out of her father's head. Her father, another creation of Zeus, has a headache. Is it Zeus or is it Kronos? Hold on, let me check this here. Pardon my stumbling on the mythology for a second. Yep, got that right the first time. That would be Zeus, and she's born. It's not vaginal birth. It's not even a C-section. Zeus's head splits open and out comes Athena in full armor. That's square the full moon aspect, and it is very close. Then there's Pramzeus, this Lithuanian god who a reader wrote to me and said, okay, this is very similar to Gaia, Earth Mother. From Lithuanian myth is over on the Leo side. I'm going to circle that, and what color have I got here? I've got most of my pencils somewhere else, and pink for some reason doesn't show up in the scanner. But I'm gonna put a big pink circle around it. Maybe it'll, because it's the only pencil I got right now. So we have the choice here of the bone of contention the political approach, which Juno can be the political approach, and then the Earth Mother approach. I mean, if I were a woman, just saying, I'd be kind of Earth Mother. I'd be kind of Earth Girl. You know, I wouldn't want to be anything else. Yeah, to have the privilege of a female body so connected to the Earth and the Earth-Moon cycle, that's incredible. So that's almost everything going on. While I'm rambling on and you're still listening, let's talk about one other thing. And I'm going to, I forgot, I haven't scanned this chart in yet, so I can. So you've heard me mention, I started this almost a year ago talking about the family Hunger Games aspect, and I have been indicating its position with a red bar at about 11 degrees Capricorn and at about 11 degrees of Aries. You can see that, the little bar in one of the rings of the circle, and I've even written in pencil, family Hunger Game there. And what's going on now is we're just still working out the Venus retrograde. Venus was retrograde in Aries and Pisces. Now Venus has been direct for a while. That was part of the whole freaking chaos of late winter and early spring. And the family Hunger Game is all of this mean stuff that families do. It is the multi-generational dysfunction, usually lubricated and passed down the generations with alcohol, the emotional suppression that alcohol is famous for, the detachment, the inaccessibility, the emotional inaccessibility. If you feel like you're drinking too much, the question is what feelings do you not want to have? And B, to whom do you not want to be accessible? And this is the most important issue as far as alcohol is concerned, as far as I'm concerned as a practitioner, is the emotional availability question. And I get that it's like, seems like a great party drug and people love it. And look, I have quite a collection of liqueurs. That's my thing, is I like liqueurs. I would be a heck of a mixologist, but I'm not. I moderate down all the way my consumption of alcohol. I never really was into it. But I'm even worried about, even moderate amounts. And the concern I have is the emotional availability question, availability to others, and the availability of your own feelings. So that's what's going on in the Capricorn side of the family Hunger Games. That is being met at 90 degrees by this point called Salacia, which is not salacious. It's the opposite of salacious. I chased up this etymology with Douglas Harper personally about 5 or 6 years ago. And he walked me through it, and he said, well, no matter what you do, you cannot get the word Salacia to connect with the word salacious, because salacious is about leaping. It's about standing out. And Salacia is about salt. She's a sea nymph, and she becomes the consort of Neptune. So that's an important thing to remember. And I do have an article called "A Proper Introduction to a Proper Introduction to Salacia, a Proper Introduction to Neptune." See, this is why I wish people would express more curiosity, because if you're interested in this stuff, I've written an article about it. Chances are it took me 5 years to write the article, and then it came out one Thursday. If you're interested in this stuff, ask me for help in the comments. I will literally help anyone except someone I think is evil learn astrology. I am committed, and I have been at this for 30 years, writing every day. Not, it taught me astrology, but it's here to pass it forward. Okay, so Salacia, to me, is about the sex that's appropriate for you. It's about your innate sexual being. Now, we are so completely, outrageously drowning in political notions of sex that most people haven't got the faintest concept. What is innately correct for them. It's always like, ooh, that's cancelable. Ooh, that's cancelable. Ooh, maybe that's cancelable. Sin, 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 right? Now sin, the concept of sin has become cancelable. Ooh, that's not appropriate. Ooh, I said tranny. Ooh, that means this. That means that. I assure you, my trans friends are laughing if I say tranny. Come on, people. But cancelable. So nobody knows. Underneath all this cancelable, they've turned into something worse than it's like wood. Wood is nice. Wood carries its life. Talk the beautiful sounds you hear coming out of guitars. That's wood. This is far more stiff and lifeless. So wooden doesn't even do it. It's emotionally frozen. If all someone's worried about is whether their thoughts and feelings are appropriate, then they're not going to have any. And I promise you that anything involving sex is going to be a little messy, and we have to live with that and make the most of it and understand that there's messy and then there's messy. There's messy in that you might have an experience that you feel ambiguous about. You do not need to call 911. Ambiguous? Be ambiguous. And then there's messy and like constant drama, family court, and all that stuff. Things that are absolutely, baldly, either inappropriate or like have nothing to do with love or family or anything like that. And family court is pretty darned busy. So, Salacia is now in a 90-degree angle. What is innately true for you in Aries, very important. It's going to be in Aries for a long time. It's a slow mover. Is square Pholus, second centaur, alcohol, multi-generational things, three plus me, 3 generations. The small cause and the big effect. It's also conjunct Quayar, Quaoar, Quatwar, Quayar. Still waiting for a Tongva person to tell me how to pronounce that. And Ixion, the evil streak running through the family. Who is the Ixion person? Who is the amoral person? Who was the amoral person in the family line? You've got to find out who Ixion was and who are their enablers. And finally, Cupido, one of those planets without a body. It's a conjunction of 4 slow movers that if you see anyone who's not like a direct Planet Waves reader mention this, I will be so very impressed. So very impressed. It's as if it's not happening. It's as if it's worse than the Uranus-Pluto conjunction in the 60s, which day in Rudyard, I forgot to say. I went digging around. There's this bookstore in Saugerties, and when I go there, the first place I go is I look at it's a very, very nice used bookstore, with serious stuff. It's not a bunch of paperbacks. It's really serious stuff, and they sometimes have these properly bagged and preserved astrology journals. So I read an article by Rudyard, who seemed to be the only person talking about it, and he was very idealistic about it. He didn't say, the president's going to get shot, and his brother's going to get shot, and Martin Luther King's going to get shot, and Malcolm X is going to get shot, and Allard K. Lowenstein is going to get shot. Oh, and by the way, a little after, when nobody connects that murder to the other assassinations of the 60s, John Lennon's going to get shot. So there was Rudyard had a very high-flying, oh my God, this is wonderful. Yes, it'll, the boards of trustees of universities he was right about that, will be feeling the students, he predicted student restlessness in the 1960s and all that. But he did not understand the extent to which Pluto can bring up really, really dark stuff. And this is why it's good to be in practice. So, dealing with dark stuff. So, meanwhile, what I'm getting at here, I'll never be able to give a TED Talk. If I did, it would be 52 and a half. 50, where we had 54 and a half minutes, not counting the music. Yeah, counting the music. What I'm getting at here is that Venus is about to pass through this whole arrangement. Venus in Aries, a very difficult placement. I consider Venus in Aries one of the most difficult natal placements of them all. All 4 of the important Taurus lovers in my life all had Sun, Taurus, Venus in Aries. Venus can't be too many signs when the sun's in Taurus. It can only go 72 degrees from the sun. It's pretty much going to be Pisces, Aries, Taurus, or Gemini, more or less. And this is very difficult because Venus in Aries makes it extraordinarily difficult for the person with that placement to feel anything about what another person's experiencing. They just cannot, until it's trained. I mean, it can be trained, and I don't mean politeness, because they can be very polite and make it seem like they know what to say. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actually empathizing. So that's thing one. But now I think with Venus conjunct Salacia, the thing to empathize with is yourself. Can you? Can you? Are you honest with yourself about your desires? Are you honest with yourself about your needs? Are you sexual, relational, emotional, rooted in sexual? Stop with the fucking political correct thing. As one of the only people I know who openly speaks about sex, I will tell you that the political correctness thing is just everywhere attempting to suppress this conversation, which is the most important conversation that we need to be having, and it is internalized in people. Oh, I can't feel that. I can't say that because it's not politically correct. I can't do, I can't, it is just, cowing as in cowarding to this whole completely horseshit, fascist, tyrannical concept of woke and political correctness. If you've been following the emergence of this over the past 35, 40 years, you will see it crept up like the rising tide, and it has become the thought police. And the problem with the thought police is they live in your mind. It's not just Google reading all your shit. The thought police live in your mind. So what I'm saying is Salacia, Venus conjunct Salacia, what would you say if you were not afraid of the thought police? Then, P.S., we find out who the thought police are. It's all the stuff in Capricorn being squared by Venus and Salacia. So what I'm suggesting here is that you might finally be at that point where you want to get these thorns out of your skin. You don't want to live in a barbed wire suit around your sexuality. That will involve saying, feeling, thinking, and doing things that will absolutely never get the endorsement of political correctness or woke, because the most truest thing you can say about political correctness and woke is that organic, human, natural, free-flowing sexuality is the enemy. Okay, so Venus is going to get in the action, and it's happening. I mean, the aspect is exact. We can look this up. Does it really matter? It's still. Let's just let me take a quick look. Let me get this little old laptop that I've got. This 10-year-old MacBook Air. It is. We will use, since this program does not contain Salacia, of course. You could get that into Solar Fire. Let's go Venus square Nessus. No, Pholus. And the thing, so let's first find that. So that's going to be May 16. So that's just right after it, and it's right as the sun is approaching Uranus, which can be erratic, and people can do things they're not planning on doing and say things they're not planning on saying. And on top of that, the moon is right in early, it's a 12 Capricorn for this. So we get this lineup of Venus and Salacia, and then I've got to look at the chart for this, and then Pholus in Capricorn, and Quaoar in Capricorn, Ixion in Capricorn, Cupido in Capricorn, and the moon. It's a big pileup, and the thing that's piling up is potentially you or someone, but let's say I'm talking to you, having sexual feelings that you need to express in some way, but you don't know how to do it because it's A, not appropriate, B, you may not have the words for it. You may not. It takes practice. It takes practice. If you listen to my stuff, you know I am, in almost everything I do, I bring up a sexual topic. You think, why? Am I some kind of a pervert? No, I don't. First of all, I don't have sex with people. And second, to me, it is just a branch of healing at this point and a branch of art at this point. But the reason I bring it up so often, and the reason I practice is one of the worst things ever happened to society, and it may be that it was always like this, is that we humans we've landed, Western civilization, right in American culture, European culture, Australia, New Zealand, it's all the same place. England, they're a little weird. They're a little weirder than the rest of us. Kind of tweaky, but you gotta love them anyway. And fucking great guitar players. Okay, so and that kidney pie. Oh my god. So we completely silo, denormalize, eject, dismiss all facets of sexuality from normal conversation. And sex is as normal as walking down the street or breathing, eating food, shitting, pissing, sleeping, waking up, scratching your head, scratching your ass. Sex is right there. Now, it's got all kinds of mystical, mythical stuff, and it's packed in taboos. I'm amazed that it's even considered normal to hide the vulva. We can talk about penis another time. But every human, till recently, and there's not that many cesarean sections. It's not too many, but most of us are born through a pussy. Well, what's the big deal? Breasts have to be hidden? If you expose a breast on Facebook, boom. If you link to something exposing a breast, boom. Book of Blue graduate Zoe West is always publishing. She's got like really risque, excellent photography by all these photographers who line up to photograph her. And she's like, I'm trying to get thrown off this platform. I'm like, all you need is a little nip. Out you go. What's the big deal? Celia Rabbit. Tits are for kids. It's worth questioning these taboos, and you will not be struck dead if you do it. And the whole woke cancellation thing, it's not what it used to be. People are getting sick of it, first of all, and they're realizing, we collectively are realizing, well, we need to express something. We have to be honest for a minute somewhere. Well, this whole setup, Venus, Salacia, Capricorn moon, Pholus, Quatwar, Ixion, Cupido, all right there, right together, right in the same place, this coming week. Well, maybe this is a good time to admit a few things to yourself. Write that essay, write that letter, talk to that person you've been avoiding talking to. Tell your partner the thing that you have not been able to say. Chances are there's something really important that you need to tell your partner that you haven't said. And woe betide anyone who uses confidential sexual information revealed to them by a partner against them. I know this happens. Woe betide. You keep people's confidence. Somebody tells you something about themselves, someone tells you where it's hurt. Don't you fucking dare use it against them. You help them heal. You reveal a confidence as well. We must take care of one another in this. We must make room for one another to be human. Because at the end of the day, this is at the end of the day and at the end of time, the end of civilization, at the end of whatever, the end of your life, this whole experience is about being human. All right. That's my message. Well, I'm planning on doing an hour show, but you got an hour show. And I'm going to send this out after dark. I've got to figure out how to schedule a post, because this is not a post that should be sent out. I know it's light out somewhere, everywhere. But I'm going to schedule this thing for like 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern time. And there's a new Planet Waves FM, planetwaves.fm, or on the Substack. I believe that would be planetwaves.org. And continue to look for me regularly this week in your inbox. If I have something to say, I'm going to turn on this thing, and I'm going to send it out to you, to the Planet Waves list. All right? You know where to find me. EFC at planetwaves.net. Please, pretty please, please. I write so much for you. I write so much for you. I think I write 250,000 words a year. Please, to Planet Waves only. Please, comment. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what's up. Tell me what you want to know. Ask questions. Share thoughts. Let's do this. Let's use this digital space for the best possible use that it can be used for. All right, signing off from Kingston, New York. In my time here, a little ahead of 5 o'clock Eastern time. Finally, a bright sunny day. I'm going to reach in to the jar of fortune cookies and pull one out. And it says, strong reasons make strong actions. And I'm about to go into the tarot card line of work, about to return to that. That's where I started. And the card I'm drawing is the King of Wands. Look for the tarot thing. I'm going to do Taurus tarot tonight or tomorrow. So if you're a Taurus, we're going to try it on individual signs. All right. Now I'm really going to sign off. You're listening to David Byrne. This is Light Bath. We're doing a month of all Eno. And I don't think Eno's on this track, but he was definitely hanging around the studio. He's on a bunch of the tracks. On one of the, I think if it's on my short list of records I would take to another planet, The Catherine Wheel by David Byrne. The Catherine Wheel by David Byrne. Not the band The Catherine Wheel, but the album, The Catherine Wheel. It was composed for Twyla Tharp for an off-Broadway production, which must have been fantastic. All right, here you go. Lots of love, and bye for now.